Hi, Steve.
Hi, Gail.
I like the beard. Looks great on you.
It just kind of happened. I don't
It
know
just
how long it'll
happened.
last.
Yeah.
I've had the television on more today than I ever have. Well, actually 2 weeks ago, and then today.
Yeah, I unfortunately missed all of it today. With my work schedule, I couldn't see any of it, but I've heard good things.
I just watched. We just rejoined the Paris Climate Accord.
Oh wow, that was fast.
Minutes ago, he already had him at the desk at the Oval Office signing that. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Wow. Wow. Fast working.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one comment I heard was from a friend whose 3-year-old told her that she sings as good as J-Lo.
Yeah, it was Lady Gaga and J-Lo, and I thought,
yeah,
I might have thought like that might have been somebody Trump would have brought up. Do we know who we're expecting or not expecting tonight?
Nobody said no. So most everybody, as far as I know.
Okay.
I'm going to shut my camera off just for a second and go and check my email to see if anything's come in.
Sure. You heard anything from Asha recently?
Yes, I see her or talk to her at least once a week.
Great.
Yeah, she's doing great. Let's see what's in news. She got Henry back into preschool, which she's thrilled about. As an only child, she just like, we can't have him not see any kids for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that was good for them and good for them as a family to have Henry back in school.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Hello, Jim.
Hi, Gail. How are you?
I'm all right. Frank, you look so happy in your avatar picture of your Zoom.
I do?
You did?
I didn't know I had one.
No, I was talking to Frank. Frank is a little picture there. He looks very happy.
That was a happy moment, actually.
Yeah, good.
Gail, I have to say that your quip about what a gal likes to get for Christmas had me in stitches.
That was very good.
5 or 10 minutes. I just couldn't stop laughing.
That was very good.
It was excellent.
I was thinking of offering you some old rolls of coax cable I've got.
Ooh.
Oh my.
Hmm.
We need a little bit of laughter nowadays, I think. Very
Well,
important to
Yes, we
our
do.
mental health.
A good day for the first time in a long time. So.
Yes, I should
Yes.
say
Yeah.
so.
Really, jeepers.
So we'll just wait a couple of minutes for others to join since it's 5:30 right on the nose. Kent, are you local or are you in Florida?
No, I'm local. We're not going to go down till we get a vaccinations. But of course, sounds like I could have got one there sooner, but because I'm old, 65 first, but
How old are you? How old are you?
65.
Oh, see, so there you go. You're
You
young.
just made the cut.
You're
Yeah,
young.
Yeah.
You're young, hey.
it's good to be old sometimes.
Or as my dad who had Alzheimer's had a nurse from Ireland. She used to say the word younger. You were younger than you were younger than somebody.
Hmm.
Not younger, younger. I just thought that was kind of cool.
I was just listening to Claire McCaskill, the former senator from Missouri, and she's probably, I don't know, 55 or 60. And she said, it used to be, because she was looking at some young people coming to the Senate, she said, used to be, I always said that I ran for the Senate so it was someplace I could be a young hot chick. So
Yeah. That's funny. She's great.
yeah.
All right, we're past 5:30, so let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Let's see. So the all boards meeting that was scheduled for 6:30 was canceled or postponed rather. So we do not have a 6:30 hard stop, but if any of you were planning to leave then, because I said that's when the meeting would end, don't feel like you need to stick around. We'll try to get through the bulk of everything by then anyway, but I bet we're gonna go over that. So first order of business is approving the previous meeting minutes from December 18th. Jim sent them around. Craig sent some edits. I sent some edits. Steve sent a question. I think all were resolved. Any more comments or questions about those minutes?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 18th.
Second.
All in favor, put your hands up so we can see them. Great.
I wasn't at the meeting, so.
Frank abstained. Graham's coming in. We'll wait a second for him.
Unmute and
There he is.
There you are.
Yep.
anyway.
There
Hey,
we go.
all.
Graham.
Hey, Graham.
All right. Graham, welcome. Do you want to jump right in with the HUT report?
Sure. As we discovered a week or so back when I went to turn on to flip the HVAC units that both units were turned off, and the HUT temperature is running at 66, which isn't that surprising because it's got all that lovely 2.5 kilowatts of whatever heating in the equipment. So Gail suggested, well, why not just turn off the HVACs because it doesn't need to heat the hut even in the nighttime. And so that's what I did the other day. I turned it to heating mode and set the heating to happen if it went below 50 degrees, which it probably never will. So anyhow, we'll watch that until we get to cooling season, and nothing else from the hut except we're gonna do a security test, but Gal can talk about that in a little bit. Nothing else from the hut as far as we all changed the security because Crocker had to terminate someone, and they thought to be cautious because that employee, that technician, had access to our hut. That they were changing their security stuff, obviously, and so Steve changed the combination on the door. So if you remember what it was, it won't work anymore. And the new combination, it took me a while to memorize it, Steve. You know, just an old brain, but I think I've got it down now. So, and a security code for Crocker was changed as well.
Sorry, Graham. You know, I looked at the instructions for setting the code and read all the combinations and permutations you could use. Oh, well, let's push the limit a little bit here. So, but maybe I went too far with that.
No. There's a 5 theme in it as well. The first 2 numbers are add to 5. The middle number is 5. And then
Don't say it out loud. Remember, this is being recorded.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just said, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Anyhow, there's a 5 theme.
Yeah.
That's all.
We'll leave it to a cryptographer to figure that one out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I know the Russians are already trying to hack it, so you know. So anyhow, it was all good. That's doing fine.
Great. And so Graham will just continue on that. I spoke to Tim Otto today. He is actually going to be away for 2 weeks starting on Monday. So we'll run the security test in his absence, and he'll put Andrew in charge of it. So I will get back to you with one of those times that you submitted on Monday or Tuesday to run the tests. Okay.
Sure thing. Yeah.
In some ways, it's almost better that Tim is gone because, we know there's no, interference. We'll see if it all works the way it's supposed to.
Yes, and in fact, that's the best test of all, isn't it? When they're not all sitting there,
right, watching it,
waiting for the test.
Yeah.
No deep state interference.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Anything else on the hut?
Nada.
All right. Let's move into maintenance and service report. As
I passed on to you and the subcommittee for the hut, Crocker seemed to be doing pretty good. There were 60 contacts to the Crocker help service crowd, and hardly any of them were left open still. The ones that were kind of reasonably, waiting for customer feedback, things that had to be scheduled, stuff like that. So seemed like they were doing okay. I did note that as I looked at the whole year's repair in the summary, the two chewed outside drop lines were both chewed on the same day, 3 miles apart, and I forgot to look whether it was the same customer service rep who identified the same problem in 2 places. But anyhow, it's good that it was one of the things that is probably a problem in some places more than others. It's nice to know that in a 12-month period, we only had 2 outside drops on the house chewed by critters, and maybe not even 2. So all good. And as we know from the Crocker, the survey you did, people are basically feeling that the response is pretty good. What was it? 50% of the people who'd responded had contact with Crocker, and
yes,
and, none of them were yelling and screaming too much. So.
Yep.
So in the minutes, it says a certain number had problem calls. Are they all problem calls, or were some people, I think that overestimates the problems, because there were some people who just couldn't figure out how to do this or couldn't figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. A lot of them were questions.
Yeah. Questions. I don't know. Trouble tickets. No matter.
As an example, we're likely to see the calls go down with time, and you could say it's because Crocker got better at what it's doing, or you could say because the users got better at what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yes, time will tell.
And it'll be a little seasonal, won't it? Because as people get older in our in our town, as I think the demographic is moving that way. Kent, did I just see you falling out of your chair? Yeah. Yeah, you know.
I try not to drool.
Yeah, that's so important, Eric. Yeah.
Thank you.
And any questions about that security statement that I sent around? That was given to us in response to our questions about, solar winds and what Crocker was doing to protect our network. Any questions, comments on that statement?
Well, I read it and, not being particularly knowledgeable about this, I thought, well, this all sounds fine. The one sort of takeaway I got from it, there was quite a bit of discussion about the security of the telephone system. And I seem to see more of that than I did discussion of the internet security.
Steve, it's because voice over IP, the way Calyx does it, they've made it bulletproof, and it is more secure because it can be, because it's just not as random as all the things that your ordinary internet connection has to do. It knows it's got to be an audio thing going between two audio things, so it's a more bulletproof sort of it's a more stable and narrower sort of application.
Okay.
Also, I think failures are more critical there, right? Because if somebody wants to dial 911, they really need the phone.
It was also interesting for them to point out that it's harder to tap a voice over IP.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. I mean, the wire running out of your house, the twisted pair to Verizon, you can tap it anywhere along the way. And obviously, as we know, National Security Agency had a permanent tap in on some in some telephone exchanges. So it's kind of like, yeah, okay. It's a lot harder to track it down if you're trying to untangle voice over IP.
Yep.
Well, Graham, Jim, people that are knowledgeable in this area, would you feel from reading that the internet portion of our service is sufficiently secure, is as secure as we could expect given the nature of the technology?
It looked a little like a boilerplate response to a question of you're secure. Yeah, we're secure. We have a firewall. Well, what is a firewall? How do they do their firewall? There's a whole bunch of different flavors of firewall. Some of them work really well. Some of them work, not so well. The question that did come to mind for me was specifically how. For them to give a couple of instances, if one of us got suddenly somehow or other got a virus in our computer or our home network, how does it shut down the whole hut? Does it compromise? How do they isolate a problem? I know it's a challenge at UMass, and at one point Microsoft email people decided that the whole of UMass, remember Craig, when you couldn't get your email sometimes?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I remember.
They decided that UMass had too many viruses and students were, some sort of problem. And anyhow, they decided that they blocked UMass for a bunch of days. So anyhow, my question would be, and I guess we can all think about what questions we might have, but let's come up with a short list of questions. And one that I would put in that is, if someone gets a serious infestation, a viral thing in their home system, what happens to the whole, how does Crocker deal with that? Is it a problem for the town, or is it just a problem for one subnet thing?
So I was thinking about this recently, and maybe as a part of our due diligence, we want to spend a few $1,000s and get some outside company to come and evaluate Crocker's security and tell us whether it's good enough or they should be doing something else. Is that something we should talk about? I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion.
That could be a good idea. I guess it would be there'd be ways of probing that some crowds could probably probe your system. We never did that at UMass that anyone told me, but maybe you just hire a grad student in computer science and try
Well,
to.
well, I'm sure UMass had people on staff who that was their job, right? Who with expertise.
That's true, but they never got anyone. I never heard them. Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely an area that we should get a price to.
So would HG&E, for example, maybe have? Do they know enough that they could come in and say, yeah, they're following best practices or not? I mean, obviously, I'm not asking them to do an elaborate test to see whether they can get through. It's really just, are they following industry best practices or better?
Right. So a basic security audit, I'm sure that Holyoke Gas and Electric or even Whip City would be capable of doing that because they're all running their own networks. Yeah, Jim, you have something?
I don't see how this could possibly be an issue with us, since we all have in our connection to Shutesbury Net, we're all on completely separate IP addresses. We're not. I'm just trying to imagine how, if I had a massive virus problem here, how it could affect Graham's computer or anyone else on the network. Technically, I just don't see how it could possibly happen.
I agree. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about an attack from outside.
Oh, coming in from the outside, that could hit anybody. Yeah, especially if they
Take
don't
over
have
our hot electronics or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert in this.
Yeah. How well is Crocker protecting our system? I think
Right.
is the question.
our OLT, for example.
Yeah, or anything in our system.
Okay.
Anyone else got any security background or in other places or institutions or? No.
No,
Nope. Nope. Graham, the question you asked about someone getting a serious virus in their home, were you concerned about it affecting the whole network, or more how would Crocker help that customer just deal with it in their own home?
Crocker won't have any responsibility for fixing the person's home system,
Right.
but they will have a responsibility for blocking them, and I guess the question is, how do they block? What is it a trivial thing for them to block that, and does it affect traffic to the hut in general? Jim's point might be true that it can be so distinguished at IP level that it's not a problem, but that would be one question, and we should think about it a little bit, and there might be three questions but that would be one that I could write down and sort of.
Didn't we ask a lot of these questions when they were here, and they did answer a lot of them? It seems like ground that we covered before the contract award, but I just don't recall exactly all the details of it. But it was equally a concern then, and they had some responses then, which wasn't as canned as the response that they gave to this last one.
But A, the landscape's always changing, and B, I don't, even though I'm a hacker, or well, I'm not a hacker, but I don't think I have the ability to evaluate whether their response is reasonable or not. I'm not an expert in this.
Yeah. So I think
I just don't know
yeah.
how more expert HG&E or even Whip City is at this. That's all.
But they may be very experienced in due diligence, and they may know, they may have some ideas there, and if they're inexpensive ideas, then or if they have other questions, then
Well, I would caution Whip City because they may have their own interests. So
I was gonna think the same. I was thinking the same thing.
Oh, I thought you said HGE. Yeah, I wouldn't.
both mentioned.
Holyoke. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both competitors of Crocker. So I mean, of course,
Well, I know. It's interesting.
There's a tendency for them to say, "Hey, these guys don't know what they're doing."
If there's that kind of, I mean, everybody's human nature will be, we do it better than they do it. So
Sure.
that kind of.
Wouldn't the problem be if Crocker, their equipment was hacked to the degree that that the hacker could get through the ways in which they control our equipment. In other words, get in that sort of back door, if you want to call it that. I guess that would be the real problem, because if someone, I don't know why why the Russians or anyone else would want to do this, but if that did happen, that would be the only way I would think that real trouble in our hut could occur.
Jim,
My
that's
concern isn't that they're going to get my data.
No,
My concern is that they're going to take down the network and it'll be down
yeah,
for a week
exactly,
while they
exactly.
recover from it.
Yeah, that's right.
Jim, yeah, and Jim, you identified the back door was the SolarWinds thing. That's a network
Yeah.
control system.
Yeah.
So I guess the question I would, there's another question that I would put in my thing is, okay, you don't use SolarWinds. Congratulations, that was lucky. Who do you use, and what certainty now do you have that they're better or smarter than SolarWinds? Because SolarWinds is
That's a horrible question, because SolarWinds beat every major person on Earth. I mean, the government, Microsoft themselves, everybody got beaten that way. So
everybody.
they're not going to be better than them.
Nearly everybody.
Nearly everybody but one company that specialized it eventually.
No.
Right. So I see the question on the table here is, none of us here on this call are experts. We don't have the expertise to evaluate if the statement that Crocker made is kind of fitting industry standards and getting into really those technical details of it. So do you want me to pursue a quote to get a security audit for them to review what Crocker is doing by Holyoke Gas and Electric?
Well, Holyoke Gas and Electric aren't experts either, but ask them if there is an expert out there or something like that, and ask what that would cost roughly, because, if it's $100,000 or if you have to talk Russian, then, it's kind of like, it's going to be a little.
It's not so much that they're the epitome of expertise, but they're independent, right? And the main thing is to get an independent assessment.
Yeah.
I mean, these audits can be very cumbersome on Crocker's side too.
They could. It might make us. They might reasonably.
I think the opinion is it worth auditing? I guess from.
Right. That's really the question. Is this a worthwhile pursuit in time, energy, and money?
Yeah.
Anyone want to Google the subject in general, and one can usually find, apart from the ads that'll come your way, you would find reviews of people who I don't know.
I don't see a reason.
I can send a note to my son.
There you go. Perfect.
I don't see any reason not to ask Holyoke. We're not committing to doing
But don't say anything bad about the NSA, because he used to work there. So
Okay. All right. Yeah. There you go. He's your guy. Yeah. Very good.
All right. I will ask Holyoke Gas and Electric about doing an independent security assessment, just kind of like what it would cost to do that, and if they feel like they have the
email to my son.
And Kent, let's see what your son says.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. In other news, we were able to get 4 households installed under the CARES Act. So this is going to get paid back by the town, so we don't have to pay for any of it. The homeowner didn't have to pay for any of it. So that was nice for not only for us to pick up 4 more customers, but also that there was we had to pay for any of it, at least not directly. But our taxes are still paying for it. Let's see, our $25,500 final portion of that grant just cleared today. So we should be seeing that in our bank account soon. I don't know if the select board has their eyes on that. To take it. So I'm just going to assume that they don't. We're going to put it in our account and use it towards our budget.
Gail?
Or is that not work because it goes into a different account?
No, the grant, the town has a separate account for grant money. And so all state grants are deposited by the state into that. I assume probably electronic transfer. And then
I
the
see.
accountant or the treasurer apportions it out to wherever it goes. So that's why the last two grants went there and we didn't have control. We had to ask the select board to put that towards the debt. And, you know, we came up with a compromise there that they put half of one of the grants towards the debt. So yeah, this doesn't come direct to us. And I wouldn't actually see what we'd like to do with it. Wouldn't be having it come to us, but just have them put it directly towards the debt payment in August of this year. The ban that's is still outstanding, put it towards the principal of that. That's what my reading of the meeting with the finance committee and the select board back in the spring is what they agreed to do when they came up with this using 50% of the grant, taking 50% of the grant, the grant last spring for free cash. And you said, well, then we have an understanding that that's the last payment that we're making to the town. And people sort of nodded their heads. And I don't think they took a vote on it, but so that'll be my insight on where that money is and what its status is.
I have a recording of what Rita said to Gail when Gail said, "That's it," you know, and I've got it. I've got it sort of in black and white. So she said something to the effect of blood money, or see. Do you remember that exchange? But there's been I have heard from my connection with the finance committee and elsewhere, I've not heard any plot afoot to take any part of this $25,000 and use it, put it into free cash or do something like that. I'm pretty sure it's, although one can't be absolutely sure, but I'm pretty sure it's headed towards, as you said, Steve, paying off the debt, which is what we'll be doing, or at least be doing a lot of this summer when it comes up for renewal in August.
Okay. It has to be certified by Gail, so I'll just put a reminder when I ask her that to do the certification that this is going to go towards our ban payment in August. And we'll probably have to remind everyone, meaning leadership again in July, that this money needs to go there. Steve, do we need to do anything at town meeting with that money?
I wouldn't
Like do a vote
I
or
wouldn't
something?
think that would require a town meeting vote. But you know, if we got a sense of where the select board was at beforehand, and if there was any move afoot to take it for other purposes, possibly, you know, I think if we went to town meeting and explained where we thought the money would go, I think we might have fairly strong support in town. And there is a town meeting vote that will need to be taken about the debt, which is to appropriate last fiscal year's the leftover money from our account, which is the what was that term I said he used yesterday, Gail? It's this,
Leftovers?
yeah, leftover. Yeah,
Can't
there's a
remember.
technical
Retained earnings.
retained earnings.
There we go.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jim. Yeah,
Yeah.
that will have to be appropriated
Yeah.
by a town meeting for any purpose. And so we will definitely need an article on the town meeting warrant to appropriate that to, towards the principle of the ban in August of this year. So.
All right. Do you think I should be proactive about this and write to the select board and say, hi, our grant, or the final portion of our grant just came in. wanted to make sure we share the same understanding that this will be applied towards the band payment in August.
I wouldn't think that would be a bad idea. That'd be a good idea. I
Sure,
would,
that sounds good.
Okay.
And maybe you could say it, not even like with the implied question, but by the way, the money has come in that we were expecting, just kind of like
Yeah, right.
that it'll go. Yeah. So,
we're assuming it would go to blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
I think it will anyway. I think that's what they would think, I would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. I'd like to avoid another conversation like the one we had last year if we
Yeah.
can.
I'll track it in the finance committee meetings as well, to be sure that that's what we're thinking of and that's where it's headed. We would
Okay.
like to see that money headed.
I would talk about it as if it's a foregone conclusion already.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
That's so wise.
That's good.
All right, so some other little bits and pieces, and then I'm going to talk about the surety bond. So bits and pieces. Steve helped me get the Our Town article edited and out last week. So that is done. I've been contacted twice in the last month by people, one in Connecticut and one in Vermont, wanting to know about our project. Municipal networks, I don't know if you've been following the news, are just happening everywhere right now.
Yeah.
So people are very curious about this. So I realized it was becoming a little bit of a time sink. They wanted our information. They wanted to have a conversation on the phone with me. And I'm really glad to help, other municipal networks, but it was becoming inefficient. So I've written up a document describing the project, just kind of like how we did it, how long it took, the biggest challenges, the basic financials, our town demographics, all the questions I keep getting asked over and over again, so that when people contact me, I just now give them this thing and say, here, read all this, and then let me know if you have any questions.
That sounds great.
Good plan.
Yeah.
You've written the magazine article for someone. There you go.
There's a
No,
magazine
if
article.
it gets written up in a magazine, then she gets 1,000 more.
Oh, yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah.
Craig had to let me know that there's 155 people in Shutesbury who have still not gotten their refunds from Wired West.
They've not
And-
requested their refunds.
Who they haven't requested them. They have to request them. And so this is going to go back to the state on 4/22. So not this April, but a year from now. So I think to help this along, in the next 2 articles of Our Town, not the one coming out now, but the one in September, and then again, the one in January, we can publish a little article telling people, if you haven't done this yet, here's what to do. And Craig, do you think Wired West would like us to try to reach out to these people? Instead of them sending it to these email addresses, have it come from, say, me?
Wired West has been sending out requests,
Mm-hmm.
but it's possible that some of their email addresses are stale, right? And so my guess is that rather than having us give them new addresses, they'd probably prefer that we do it. I have not asked this question, but that's just my guess.
Yeah.
So they have been sending out requests to the email addresses that they have on file. They've been doing their due diligence. And according to the state law, in April, as Gail said, in April 22, they have to give the money to the state, because if they were to keep it, it's sort of a conflict of something or other.
Yeah. Okay. So I will just, in the next 2 Our Towns, make a note that we want to put in a blurb about people requesting their money back for this.
Yep.
Okay.
This was 25 people. How many
No,
No.
140 something.
155
in Shutesbury?
in Shutesbury.
Okay.
Could they
Okay.
tell Wired West they'll just give it to Wired West as a donation?
Yes.
They're not allowed. Well, no.
Oh.
Yes, you can do that. So you can reply and you can say that I want my money to be a donation. That's okay, but you have to officially reply and say
Because
that.
I thought I remembered that it was one of it. I just wonder if some people who have not requested it just have in mind, oh, I'll just give it to Wired West.
You have to
And,
explicitly
and,
say
and don't
that.
realize that they need to specifically do that.
Correct. Wired West is not allowed to say
Yeah.
we get to keep the ones who don't respond. That's not allowed.
But so maybe the notice we put out to people is, if you haven't requested this back, you either need to do that, or if you wish to make a donation to donate it to Wired West, you still need to inform them that that's your request.
And to be clear, if you do nothing, the money will go to the state.
Yeah, mention that, and I think that might spur people on.
Don't get people going.
What's the date in April?
I don't know.
April?
It's just April 2022.
Next
Oh.
year, not this year.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
yeah, we have plenty of time.
April 2022, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I can imagine one of the questions here is people are like, well, I don't know if I did it. I don't know if I requested that or not. It was 3 years ago. I can't remember.
Or someone
Um,
else in my household was handling it, you know?
Right, right. So Craig, do you know what the process is for them like to check on it?
If you send an email to Wired West, they'll look it up and they'll find out whether you did it or not.
Okay.
A lot of work for them.
If
but-
you're not sure, you could ask for your money back and they'll tell you if you've already got it. So
Exactly.
Right.
That's right.
it's a safe bet.
All right. Well, before I go on to that, does anyone have any other orders of business you want to talk about?
I did look at those two trees that Ayers was wondering about opposite his driveway, that, you know, in various states of trees in disrepair or slight threat. It occurred to me that it wouldn't be a bad thing if we, the committee, were inclined to walk along our own streets and just identify. As I told Ayers, I don't think those trees are like high on the priority for hazard to our utility lines. But yeah, you know, you might want to just walk along your own street and just make your own assessment of, because sometimes it's glaringly obvious what's going to fall down in the next 12 months. And you can, and on one occasion some years ago, I told the utility, you know, about a tree that was dead and hanging over their road thing, and they sent someone along to take it down straight away, you know, that week. So you know, anyone who likes looking at trees and walking along their streets, you might find something that's upstream of you that will save your own line at some point or other.
Yeah, keep an eye out. We also have the annual tree list that we can send to our local arborist, who then works with National Grid to try and get them remediated.
Whatever happened to the idea of just, at one point we had a list of the highest risk, right? When they did the original surveys. Did we ever allocate some money to go take care of those?
We didn't allocate money, but the list was sent to our town arborist in the fall.
Mhm.
And I still have not gotten the list back about what they took care of and what they didn't. So after I get that back, then I assume we go out again, look at the ones that weren't taken care of and make the kind of the decision about, do we want to hire in an arborist to come and do this? The reason we didn't do that directly is because a few times a year, the town hires out an arborist company to come in and just do a big, like, spend a whole day here,
Yeah.
taking trees down. So we were able to get some of them on that list, but I've been waiting for Becky to get that back to me for 3 or 4 months now, and haven't gotten the final list back.
I have a random technical question.
Okay.
Okay, I wear hearing aids, and if I'm in a Zoom session and I get a telephone call on my cell phone, it knocks out the video in the Zoom call. The audio keeps going. Do I call Crocker?
That sounds like an in-home device, actually an in-ear device issue. Are your hearing aids Bluetooth connected to your phone?
Yes.
Okay. So that would lead me to believe that your and are you on your phone Zoom? Like are you?
No, the Zoom is on a laptop.
Hmm.
Do your hearing aids also talk to your laptop?
Well, if they do, I don't know.
I can't hear them.
I have to take out my right ear hearing aid and shut it off. And then I can click on the little thing at the bottom row and I can get the picture back.
You lose your picture. That's interesting. I have no idea.
Okay,
Huh.
don't worry about it.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm stumped. It would make sure it would make more sense if it cut out both
Yeah.
the audio and
Yeah.
the video, but just the video every time
Right.
you get a phone call.
Huh. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm stumped.
I
Any
doubt
have any
Crocker's gonna
ideas?
know the answer either.
But the phone call stays
Uh-uh.
intact on my earphones, and the audio feed for the laptop
Whoops.
picture's gone. So I
Uh,
take out the right hearing aid, shut it off, and click on the thing at the bottom, and the picture comes back on the laptop.
You cut out there for a second, Ayers. You said that when the call comes in, you lose and you lose the video. So the call comes in, you hear the call through
Yep.
your hearing aid, and then the video cuts out in
Yes.
the Zoom.
So, Ayers, you have to do a couple of experiments and turn a couple of things off and do them, and then get someone to call you. And you're talking you're talking cell phone Wi-Fi calling on your cell phone. Is that the situation, or is it the ONT? Is it your landline via Crocker? Which sort of call?
This is all on the smartphone.
Okay, so it's Wi-Fi calling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, you'd have to break out the pieces to kind of work out what's doing what.
Now, on a separate issue, I have been in a queue waiting for service, whether it's United Healthcare or whatever, and more than once, I'll just flat drop the call, and I can't figure it out. It's as if the something can't decide whether my telephone call from my smartphone is going to go through Wi-Fi or is going to go to the tower, because I can see on the cell phone that there is a bar or two bars, and that sometimes changes right mid call.
Yeah.
I would suggest you still have a Crocker telephone number. Is that true?
That is true.
I would always be inclined never to use Wi-Fi calling if I knew I was calling a big administration that was likely to pass me around and do put me on hold for a long time, because the chances of something bumping or glitching, you could waste you could lose your place in the queue and have to start again.
So I should use my landline.
Yeah, it'll
It's
be
always more
reliable.
stable. Yeah.
Yeah, more reliable.
As the other thing I would try is plugging your laptop into the router and doing the experiment to see if the Wi-Fi call drops the video and I would turn Wi-Fi off on my laptop, just use wired, and then to see if the same thing happens.
Yeah.
If that's possible. Yeah.
So Craig, I have to get that adapter so I can plug my Apple into.
It's a Mac, right?
You do, yes.
Yeah, there's no Ethernet on my laptop.
It's not hard. It's cheap. You can get really cheap
Oh,
ones.
okay, no problem.
You can buy them online, right?
Yep,
Oh,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm currently plugged into both Wi-Fi and hardwire.
Any other last things before we go on to surety bonds? Steve, did you guys want to say something?
Sure.
Well, I can give a financial report sometime, but maybe that's farther down the agenda.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, that was my bad. We skipped right over item number 5 there. So before Steve talks about that, he has been telling me about our fiscal year 2022 budget. So he's putting together models that would include reducing the subscriber fees or not, but it's something as a group that we need to decide on.
Yep.
So I'm going to send those around later this month, probably a week before our February meeting, so everyone can look at them and then come to the February meeting with questions. But Steve, I'll let you talk to what our finance situation is now.
Okay. Gail Weiss, the town accountant, is in the process of transferring $37,895 from our regular account into the broadband capital stabilization account, which is, and this is an annual amount we have in our budget, putting aside towards the replacement of the electronics. It was put in last year, same amount this year. So when that transfer is completed and the bills are paid that I've already submitted for payment, the balance in our regular account will be $144,033. And the balance in the capital stabilization account will be $75,790. Last month, I reported on there was a check from Crocker that was missing, $39,000 monthly check. Crocker immediately reissued the check and that got deposited. Eventually, the other check showed up and was returned to Crocker. So I don't know, what happened with that.
The post office has been really slow on some
Yeah.
stuff.
It could be the post office, definitely.
terrible.
So I just don't know. Another check has shown up since timely payment, so everything seems to be going well there. I'm still looking into doing this as electronic transfers, but have not been able to complete that yet. And I'm still working with Crocker's finance person on making the accounting for our fees be more clear and understandable. I've made progress on that. It's always been a bit, it seemed like it was more, the reports we're getting were maybe more complex than were needed. So the last report I got was better. So, and Gail does continue to work on, with Crocker on trying to get billing for the from Crocker for Tri-Wire's repair works, which maybe Gail may have a report to us on that, the status of that. But I would certainly like to get those bills in so we can be squared up, know where we stand, both for our current accounts and for planning next year's budget.
Right. So to recap on that, way back in February, March of last year, when the first maintenance bills started coming in from Crocker using Tri-Wire as their subcontractor, we realized some anomalies in the way that they were billing, that they weren't following our contractual amounts, and that the bills just completely lacked any identifiable details that we needed about how many, what was the travel time charged? How long was the technician on site? Which kind of technician was it? There was a splicer needed? Was it just a regular drop technician? So anyway, we've been asking since then for these revised invoices. It is now, 10 months later. We got another batch of them, but they only go through August. So we're still missing from August till the end of the year. And it's not complete even from the March to August section of repairs. There's holes. There's just things that are just missing. So Crocker is still working on this. We got more, but not enough. So I've given them kind of the ultimatum deadline of March 1st to have everything into us through the end of December. And one of the options is if they can't provide it, we just simply don't pay. I don't know how much of a kind of problem this is going to turn into, but we can't do this. We can't be a year behind in our maintenance billing. It's not good to monitor our cash flow. It makes things really difficult, like setting next year's budget, having no idea how much maintenance we spent this year. So I've explained all this to Crocker, reread our contract, and I have a call into Donna, our town lawyer, about what are options with this kind of situation. It's unusual. You would think a company would want to get paid for their work. And to do that, they need to submit invoices, and they're just not doing it. So anyway, to be continued. Hopefully I will have an update for you at February's meeting. But the status is now we have more, still not all of it. All right, I have to complain for a second. This is the kind of stuff that drives me nuts. Like, it's such a time sink of, you know, the management of the network. If you know, people just did things on time and, you know, submitted and were consistent in formatting and all that, we could avoid all of this. All right, enough complaining.
But it's hard to believe, isn't it? The Triwire.
It really is amazing.
Yeah, that sort of business.
Yeah. Oh, I can tell you this. So the one of the solutions I tried back in December was that I since their invoices were lacking in detail, it just said, like, you know, basic repair, business hours. I filled in the information for them, kind of like estimating stuff based on the type of repair that it was. And I said, if you can agree to this amount, we'll pay it. The revised invoices that they came back with are lower than what I suggested we pay.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
This is Triwire you're talking about?
Yes.
But it's through, the billing is from Crocker. Crocker bills us.
Right.
We assume Triwire bills them, so.
Yeah, I don't think that Triwire is supplying all this to Crocker and it's getting messed up there, though. That I really think it's that Triwire just is not getting the information that we've requested so many times from Crocker.
Yeah, it seems likely that's why we're not getting the information we want, is because Triwire probably never recorded it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we'll keep at it. Steve, if it starts looking like, you know, if this goes on, and we just need to kind of set a maintenance budget, I think we can do that in an estimated fashion.
Yeah.
You know, we can get a pretty good ballpark based on, you know, here's all the tickets, you know, each one is going to take at least a half day of repair. So if needs be, we can do that when the time comes.
Mm-hmm.
Make some estimates. All right. In other paperwork adventures, we have our surety bond. So in December, our surety bond was kind of reached its official submission to the Department of Telecommunications and Cable. I had started the process back in October, but one of the requirements is that physical packets of the DTC complaint had to be sent to the utilities. The address that Verizon has in their contract was incorrect. The packet was returned. It was lost in the mail for 3 weeks. I made a new packet. It went out. The Postal Service lost it again. And I finally got confirmation in writing from Verizon's lawyer that they had in fact received it. So anyway, that was it delayed it from being filed earlier, but it's in motion now. And yesterday I got replies back from Verizon, Eversource, and National Grid. So these are the kind of the 3 utilities that we are asking for exceptions for the surety bond. Verizon sent back 250 pages of rebuttals, going point by point, decimating every one of our arguments of why this should happen. They included studies from universities about things like why municipal networks are risky business. They cited that, there's no precedent for this, that municipalities should not get special treatment, that claiming that we had ample time to work with them for a full year to revise the license agreement if we so chosen, but now we're coming back after the fact asking for this. So anyway, it was lawyerly. When I first got it, I read through all the whole thing and I thought, this isn't going to go anywhere. A team of lawyers, probably a dozen lawyers, put this together. And we don't have a team of lawyers. We don't even have one lawyer. So anyway, I was feeling very discouraged, and I reached out to the lawyer at the DTC. He can't help us because he's not on our side. He's an unbiased process lawyer. And I said, so what happens next? We have 20 days to give a rebuttal or submit any evidence about this. At the end of it, I think how it works is that we submit more evidence, and then the utilities have another opportunity to submit other evidence. And then at some point, the DTC just says, okay, that's enough. We're going to make our ruling. And they have 180 days from that kind of cutoff point until when they make a ruling about this. I was thinking of just like rescinding it, saying this is dead in the water, but I think we should go forward. There's nothing to lose. At the end of it, the DTC comes back and says, too bad, you still have to pay the surety bond. We tried, but I don't want to give up on this fight. I don't think it's fair. There's a precedent at the University of Massachusetts that they do not pay surety bonds. So I think we have something there.
Gail, you said you got responses from all 3 utilities, and this was what Verizon said. What did the responses from National Grid and Eversource look like?
They were similar, but not nearly as robust and ridiculous. That they were like 10 pages, and both of them pretty much said the same thing of like, this is a risk to the utilities. You can't argue that municipalities are more stable and unlikely to go bankrupt. As a business, we still, need this. They cited that if we were to take away these surety bonds, it would cause a raise in rates for all customers.
And they all came on the same day, these 3. Yeah, it sounds somewhat coordinated, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't come in one package, did it? Amazing for the post office as well. So,
It was all electronic. It was not emailed.
oh, it was electronic. Okay, right. Okay. Yeah, I would totally be happy to and fascinated to go through it, because a 250-page rebuttal, as I mentioned, is a little suspicious to me. Right there, it's like, it sounds like more like a snow job than a rebuttal.
It does.
And a study is just I mean, we can hire someone to do a study, so the study doesn't really count for much. If it's not about MLPs going broke in Massachusetts, then and if it's not about MLP fiber things, because cable TV, MLP cable TV municipals, they obviously had a harder time, and they might have gone belly up in, it would have been easy to have got into cable TV as a municipal before the thing was ripe. But I'd be happy to look through and see what their case is. I think we should tackle it. Yes.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a bit daunting. It's a bit intimidating, but
That's the point.
but yes, exactly. And we're tough. We're not going to just back down on this. So yeah. And like I said, there's nothing to lose. We have the state on our side, like we have our state rep, Blay and Comerford, totally on our side on this. And
If you want somebody else who's not afraid to do homework, you could send this to Jim Draw and see if he wants to bite. Because he'll have an interest for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think all these towns do. And it galled me. It galled me that Verizon said in their letter, like, this surety bond is a tiny, tiny amount. Why do you care? And I'm like, actually, $7,000 over 20 years is a big deal to us.
Why are you probably spending $100,000 in legal fees to counter this?
You just spent that in lawyer fees.
Yeah.
One of the things I think they worry about would be in Connecticut. You know how all of our licenses have that the municipal usage of every pole. Connecticut just ruled carte blanche that that municipalities had the right to use that space, and that might actually mean it might have not been a great thing for some municipal crowds who might have put in cable TV things and stuff that maybe was not well done, because they had the option, they had the easy option to do it. We had to do all the make ready, and that was an obstacle that was probably a good thing. So anyhow, yeah. Can you forward me the electronic stuff? And I'd be very interested to go through it.
I already did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
It was attached to that email that I sent earlier.
Oh, morning's email, it was attached. Oh, I didn't notice. Okay, well, then.
Yeah, there should be 3 PDFs attached to that with all of
That just go to Graham?
the documents.
Did that
What's
just
that,
go to
Ayers?
Graham?
Yes, it just went to
I
Graham.
could take a look at it.
All right. Does anyone else want to see it?
I'll pass unless you really want me to.
No, that's all right. Actually, Graham, can I leave that in your hands to forward along to Ayers?
I'll forward it
Okay.
to you, Ayers.
Oh, nice.
And
Great.
let's keep it
So-
among ourselves until we do work out what to do next.
Yeah. So we only have 20 days, so there is a shot
Okay.
clock here of how we're going to respond to it. So Graham, if you could take a look at it
This weekend,
and and then let's convene next week, or jot down your notes about, like, what do we have in ways of rebuttal. I will admit that some of the points I think that they made are valid, that kind of just decimating our argument, things like, let's see if I can think of one, like Oh, in our letter, we said, well, this surety bond should be removed for Shutesbury and all municipalities. It just doesn't make sense. And one of their points is you have no legal right to represent
Yeah,
others.
that's fine.
And I'm like, well, you're right. We don't. So we'll take away that point.
But we do have the right to make a recommendation to the state as to what the state regulations are. And
We do.
state regulation, if it applies to Shutesbury, would apply to all of it.
Would apply, yeah. So, but you know, our yeah. So things like that.
I remember thinking that at the time, the way you wrote it, the way we wrote it, it didn't seem like we were actually taking any. We were making a generalization about other towns without making an assertion that we were representing them. So I thought.
Correct. But the lawyers got a hold of it and say, no, you can't do that. You can't represent the others.
And we didn't. And I remember thinking it important at the time that was not what we were doing. Yeah. So.
But that's their fear. You know, if they
Sure.
do it for us, then they have to do it for everybody. And now that $7,000 becomes a major chunk of money on their end because of both municipalities.
No,
But
that
no,
money,
it doesn't. That's the weird part. It goes to the insurance companies. It doesn't go to
Oh,
them.
you're kidding me.
They get
No.
nothing. They get
no,
nothing.
They get nothing from this.
Yeah.
It's-
It's just an impediment that stops municipalities forming MLPs. You know, one more thing
Mhm.
that puts an obstacle, and that is one of the arguments against it. And that is the argument that the most compelling argument that we make is that this is bogus. And so, yeah, it'll totally hang on. Has any fiber municipality in Massachusetts gone broke? And if they have, has any utility taken fiber off of poles and had to exercise the warranty, the bond? Because if that has never happened, then there, and it is a Massachusetts thing. Even though Verizon and the utilities are thinking of all of their New England stuff, we're only talking to the DTC, and that is just the Massachusetts thing. It's not like the DTC is the FCC. They only have to do stuff that's in the interests of Massachusetts. So yeah.
Yep. So that would be a great thing if there's any way to track that down, is how many municipal networks have ever gone under.
If they
And-
responded, if they're providing evidence that there's a problem, then they have to tell us what that evidence is, and that would be those cases. If they just generalize it, if they're just making generalizations or pointing at a study, then we would say, tell us where you had to exercise a bond against a Massachusetts utility, a municipal utility, and where this bond ever kicked in, and with fiber, not with cable TV, which is coax and which is junk.
Right. Right. Or even maybe ask them, look at the evidence. Is there any cable TV too? It's kind of a similar situation. I don't know if that's relevant, but yeah. What I see, Graham, is going through every one of the arguments one by one and saying like, oh, we can fight this one. No, we can't really fight that one. Or it's, there's nothing we can do about that.
The
So,
bigger issue is that even if our MLP went belly up, the town is still on the hook. No?
Yeah, that was one of our arguments. Verizon shot it down and, said, well, municipalities go bankrupt all the time.
Well,
That's generalized.
ask them to offer us evidence of a Massachusetts municipality that's gone bankrupt in the past 100 years.
And that didn't get backstopped by the state.
Yeah.
Right.
They
yeah.
send in administrators, and the administrators
the
pay.
state takes
pay the-
over in receivership.
Yes, exactly right.
So-
Yeah. So they might cut out the fat, but they will pay the bills because that's what receiver administrators do. So I think they will have trouble providing evidence of the thing that they say they need to be protected from. That's my first guess. And if they don't provide any evidence that has ever happened in Massachusetts, then I think they're on pretty thin ground.
Yeah, well, I think that 250 pages was an attempt to provide evidence.
Yep.
And they used the whole nation as an example.
No. Well, yeah, the DTC isn't worried about the whole nation.
Yeah.
They're worried
Hmm.
just about users as state people. So, yep.
All right.
One last thing to say about that is that other states, their MLPs are regulated by different laws. So, and funded in different ways and have to. So, yeah, other states really are irrelevant as well for that.
Irrelevant, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Graham, I will look forward to seeing what you have to say about it. Anything else from anyone?
Nope.
All right, I will see you all on February 17th.
February 17th.
Happy Inauguration Day, everyone.
Indeed.
Enjoy.
Great
All
speech.
right.
Who'd have ever thought that Biden could give a speech that was that long? I mean, it was really, really good.
And we have already rejoined the Paris Climate Accords.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I saw that.
He already signed the executive order for that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
This
And the
meeting,
pipeline has already been canceled too.
right.
Good.
He's busy. They're a busy crowd.
All right, everyone. Take care.
All right. See you later.